Harry was not in love with Meghan Markle. He was in love with somebody else who turned him down.
When you look at the one who got away, and she's living the life that you hope to live one day, in Mystique no less, with a lovely man who treats her very well, of course that is going to hurt.
Hey, quick one. This story starts off calm, but it flips fast. Stick around, and if you're into these real-life twists, tap subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. On March 30th, 2026, Chelsy Davy posted a quiet photo on Instagram. She was holding her third child, a baby boy named Finn, wrapped in a soft white blanket, sunlight glowing behind her on a calm beach in Mauritius. No press team, no cameras, no big announcement. Just a mother, her newborn, and the peaceful island she calls home.
You can see it in their public appearances that this man can't even stand to look at this woman.
Diana looked after him like a child. He was a child, but she had to really nurse him and hold him, and he was a damaged child from the start.
At that exact same time, everything looked completely different somewhere else. Prince Harry was sitting in a London courtroom, not by the ocean, not holding a baby, but giving testimony in a legal fight tied to a long-running dispute with the Daily Mail. Then things took a sharp turn. Private messages suddenly showed up as evidence. Messages that had been denied before, with words like sugar and references to movie snuggles. Just like that, the situation got messy and questions started flying everywhere. Two people who once shared 7 years of history were now living totally different lives. One focused on quiet family moments, the other facing heavy public pressure under a global spotlight.
Yeah, he loved her a lot, and she really loved him, and they had great fun together. And he liked it because she wasn't worried about the royal family. That wasn't a big deal for her. She just fitted in very easily. So he started having affairs with all sorts of other girls.
That single week made it clear how far apart their paths had gone. And this isn't just about whether Harry misses Chelsy. It goes way deeper than that. It's about how choices, step by step, shaped two completely different outcomes. Someone who once had love, support, and direction slowly saw everything shift. Not by chance, but through decisions that changed the course of his life. Chelsy didn't just move on. She built something intentional. She created a life centered on privacy, calm, and family. Everything that once sounded so appealing.
If there was a willing billionaire, she would only leave for a step up.
Unfortunately for Harry, after just a couple of dates, Sarah and Macklin decided that Harry was too dumb, too self-absorbed, too nasty to date, that she didn't want to date.
Africa, simplicity, peace, raising children far from constant cameras, that vision actually became her reality. Meanwhile, Harry's life moved toward California, public legal battles, and non-stop global attention around his marriage, with people constantly speculating about what's next. And there's one date people keep bringing up.
A set of highly inappropriate, very flirtatious text messages sent by the Duke of Sussex to a leading British journalist, which imply not just friendship, but potentially something of a far more intimate nature.
The Daily Mail left a nuclear bomb to go off at the end because Harry has said and kind of maintained that no, he has no personal relationships with the press.
These are creepy, very sexualized messages towards a young woman in journalism, and Harry claims, I found out she's a journo, I pulled the plug, but yet the evidence seems to contradict them.
May 2028. It keeps showing up in conversations, and some believe it could matter more than expected as things continue to unfold. Years earlier, Chelsy had already made her feelings clear about royal life, saying it felt so full-on, crazy and scary and uncomfortable. I couldn't cope. That was back in 2016, long before everything else that followed. She didn't just talk, she made real choices that changed her direction completely. Their story started in Cape Town in 2004 during a gap year, turning into years of an on and off relationship. At one point, she even moved to England and studied law just to be closer to him.
Harry has woken up and smelled the roses. And he's not happy because it's not roses he's smelling. He's smelling something bad. Poop.
Prince Harry is heartbroken all over again. Now, of course, this is something that he is never going to admit publicly, especially as his marriage to Meghan Markle crumbled.
She showed up to major royal events too, including Peter Philip's wedding and the 2011 wedding of William and Kate. Harry later admitted there were still strong feelings, but one issue kept coming back. Intense media, pressure. Reports described constant monitoring, private investigators, and even travel details being leaked to tabloids. Harry spoke about it himself in court, pointing to press intrusion as something that damaged his personal relationships. He said more than once that the media played a role in what happened with Chelsy. even explaining, "I always felt as if the tabloids wanted me to be single."
She tries to direct and show people what to do because she's a controller. And that's what we see in her body language. That is her showing control because she is control obsessed.
She wants to showcase that image to the world that she is the one who's the boss, but she's not really the boss.
But here's where it gets complicated. Chelsy didn't walk away just because of headlines. She walked away because she didn't want that life at all. Yes, the pressure was real, but her own words made it clear she wasn't looking for someone to blame. She didn't want constant scrutiny, strict expectations, or a life that felt like it was always on display. So she chose distance, privacy, and independence, and quietly stepped out of the spotlight. She went on to qualify as a solicitor at Allen & Overy, one of the most prestigious law firms in the world. And this is where
we always talk about how Meghan's like, they took my voice. Well, she's taking Harry's. She's taking his voice. She's taking, his freedoms away from him to do what he wants to do.
Actually had no intention of moving to South Africa with him and escaping the press and living a private life. What she always intended to do was go to California.
Things start to get even more interesting. Things didn't stay the same for long. Her next moves changed everything. Make sure you stay locked in, because this shift says a lot, and it only gets deeper from here. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe so you don't miss how this all connects. Later, she switched paths completely, diving into gemology and building her own jewelry brand from the ground up. She focused on ethically sourced African gemstones and 18-karat gold, creating her own supply chain step by step with full control over the process.
It's usually a 6-month period for Meghan's mask to slip, and then she turns. And you can go in one day and not know anyone that you had been working with weeks before. Very significant in California. In California, if you're married for 10 years in California, everything is communal property.
Oh, wow.
So it doesn't matter if you have a prenup or not. After 10 years, it's communal property and you get.
Then she married Sam Cutmore Scott, an Eton-educated hotel professional running a luxury hospitality group far away from nonstop public attention. The wedding itself? Extremely private, so private that she reportedly picked her dress just one day before the ceremony. No big media moment, no drawn-out coverage. Within 4 years, she had 3 children and eventually moved to Mauritius, where her family already had roots. No interviews, no streaming deals, no public drama, just a quiet life built exactly how she wanted it. A friend told the Daily Mail in late 2025 that breakup was probably the best thing that ever happened to her. That one line got people talking everywhere. Think about that image: economics degree, law degree, gemology diploma, a successful business, 3 kids, and a calm coastal lifestyle. It paints a picture that's hard to ignore. Because when you compare it to what comes next, the contrast feels almost unreal. Observers have pointed to patterns in how relationships shifted over time. Some friendships reportedly became strained during major life changes. One example often mentioned is Tom "Skippy" Inskip, a longtime friend from Eton who was said to have advised caution early on. Later reports claimed he wasn't invited to the private evening wedding reception. Tatler didn't hold back, stating, "Skippy advised Harry not to marry Meghan and has paid the price." Whether fully accurate or not, that claim pulled massive attention. Other reports described distance growing between the couple and certain social circles. Royal correspondent Katie Nicholl even wrote about what she described as an unspoken expectation of loyalty. According to those accounts, speaking publicly about private matters could lead to tension, or even separation. Over time, several relationships seemed to shift direction. Family dynamics also became a major topic in public conversations. In one documentary interview, Harry admitted he had lost a few friends along the way. Media outlets later shared claims from unnamed sources pointing to serious disagreements within the family. One widely repeated quote said, "He absolutely hates Harry." Another line that kept showing up in headlines claimed, "William will never, ever forgive Harry for what he has done." These statements fueled nonstop speculation and debate. Even his memoir, Spare, sparked backlash. Some veterans criticized how certain military experiences were described. Former Colonel Tim Collins said publicly, "That's not how you behave in the Army." That comment alone triggered a wave of discussion about what should stay private and what gets shared with the world. Looking at everything together, many believe key decisions shaped the outcome. Writing the memoir, doing high-profile interviews, and speaking openly about private conflicts all played a role. Some relationships grew stronger, but others clearly faded. It shows how fast things can change when personal matters turn into global headlines. Some observers say it didn't feel like slow disagreements. It felt sudden, like people were simply cut off. Longtime friends seemed to disappear, replaced by new voices more aligned with the direction things were going. That shift didn't go unnoticed. And now, Harry himself has confirmed just how strained things have become. In a BBC interview, he said communication with his father had broken down, stating directly, "He won't speak to me because of the security stuff." That didn't come from rumors, that came straight from him on record. Years before all of this escalated, Chelsy had already stepped away from that world, choosing distance before things reached this level. 16 years later, the same structure she once avoided is still making headlines, and Harry is still right in the middle of it, with more still unfolding ahead. Now this is where everything gets messy, fast. Stay with this part, because the details here start connecting in ways people didn't expect. And if you've been following closely, this is where it really turns. The story shifts from difficult to seriously complicated. Harry's legal fight with parts of the British press has become one of the biggest chapters of his post-royal life. Across multiple lawsuits, reported legal costs are now climbing close to £40 million, and the core argument hasn't changed. Claims that private information was gathered through unlawful methods like phone hacking, surveillance, or deceptive data tactics. There have been real legal developments tied to those claims, and key statements started to shape the entire case. But then March 31st hit, and everything changed. During closing submissions, the defense introduced a set of previously unseen messages. According to court records, the conversation started back on December 4th, 2011, with Harry reaching out first. Messages went back and forth across multiple dates. In those texts, he used the word sugar, while she referred to him as Mr. Mischief and HBO. One message shown in court included the exact line, "Miss our movie snuggles." Another read, "I'm off comms all week in case you think I'm being rude." He also said, "I've been seriously busy since I last saw, but plan on getting back in the mix for February." Phone records reportedly showed a call at 2:50 in the morning, along with 3 text exchanges dated June 9th, 2012. But for many watching, the tone of the messages wasn't the biggest issue. He was single at the time, and private conversations are personal. The real focus was the gap between earlier sworn statements and what this new evidence seemed to show. Statements like "met once," "no idea about Facebook messages," and "not friends with journalists" suddenly came under intense scrutiny. The tension in the courtroom rose quickly, because now credibility itself was being questioned. Every word given under oath was being re-examined against the evidence presented in that same court. Alexander Larman from The Spectator said it directly. The messages challenge Harry's testimony in the witness box. Tom Sykes at the Daily Beast pushed it even further, saying the texts actually made Charlotte Griffiths appear as the most credible royal reporter in the case. He walked into that courtroom already under pressure over credibility, and some believe this moment may have made things even harder for his case. The final ruling could still take months, but March 31st already left a mark that won't fade quickly. Then there's the money side, and this is where things tighten even more. Some deals are fading, others barely holding, and the overall picture shows a shrinking flow of revenue. Spotify stands out. A $20 million deal signed in December 2020 ended in June 2023 after only 12 episodes. Spotify executive Bill Simmons didn't hold back, calling them grifters on a public podcast heard by millions. Netflix has also faced challenges. The original deal was reportedly worth up to $100 million, but while Heart of Invictus performed well, other projects like Live to Lead, Polo content, and a cooking show barely made noise. By summer 2025, the deal shifted from exclusive to a first-look arrangement. Then in March 2026, Netflix stepped away as an equity partner from Meghan's lifestyle brand. Reports say the internal mood came down to 2 words, "We are done." Even Penguin Random House pulled back. Paula Froelich reported that at least 2 book ideas were pitched. One focused on leadership, another described as a divorce angle, but a publishing source said clearly, Penguin Random House is done with them. Some biographers have even pointed to historical parallels. Prince Philip once referenced Edward VIII and Wallace Simpson, an American divorcee linked to a royal exit and a lifetime away from the institution. Ingrid Seward described their story as filled with estrangement, memoirs, staff issues, and ongoing disputes. Anna Pasternak portrayed them as jet-setters who never fully felt settled, always looking back toward England. There's even that striking moment recorded by Gore Vidal. Right after their wedding, Edward reportedly turned and asked, "And now what do we do?" That line still sticks because the comparison feels uncomfortably close for some observers. Different era, different stakes, but a similar emotional question that doesn't fully go away. Of course, the situations aren't identical. Edward was king. Harry is 6th in line. Today's world is louder, faster, and far more connected. Harry has children, global visibility, and opportunities Edward never had. But the core story some people see hasn't changed much. A man giving up a lot for love, then quietly facing what comes after. Chelsy never wanted any of that spotlight. No crown, no constant attention, no celebrity-driven life. She didn't chase streaming deals or brand empires. She wanted Africa, privacy, and a life built around family and calm moments. And she actually created it, step by step, on her own terms. Harry has said he wanted that kind of life too. In Spare, in interviews, even in court, he kept coming back to the same ideas. Africa, simplicity, peace. In one witness statement alone, he referenced it again and again. That transcript might be one of the clearest windows into what he was really thinking. Public opinion adds another layer. Recent polling shows Harry at 31% positive and 60% negative in the UK, while Meghan stands at 21% positive and 67% negative. Meanwhile, William is at 74% positive and Catherine at 71%. Those numbers show how sharply perception has shifted. So the question still hangs there. Can his reputation recover after years of legal fights, broken deals, and a memoir that reshaped key relationships? Or has too much already changed? And while all of this plays out in headlines and courtrooms, there's a quiet image that keeps coming back. On a beach in Mauritius, Chelsy holds her baby Finn, living the exact kind of life Harry once described as his dream. She built it, she stepped away, and never looked back. If you've got thoughts on all this, drop them in the comments. And if you want more breakdowns like this, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next.